students. Today I am going to give lecture on fifth module of highway engineering subject. So that is highway drainage. Okay, let's begin. Introduction. Firstly, we should know what is drainage and how this affects the pavement structure. So it is the process of removing and controlling the excess surface and subsurface soil water. So within the right of way. So here right of way means it is the width of pavement completely. So it includes pavement width, shoulder, side drain, berm space and borough fit if any. So the installation of suitable surface and subsurface drainage system is an essential part of highway drainage and construction. So before going for the construction, we should study the drainage character of the particular location very well. So that means we must know what is the rainfall at the site. So soil property, type of construction. So that means whether it is embankment construction or cut section, and also groundwater level. So all those things we should know. So the drainage is the vital aspect that interrupts the design life of the pavement structure. So that means, so if the water is not diverted away from the pavement, then that will lead into various types of failures such as potholes, maybe cracks, ruts, corrugations, so on. So there are different types of failures. So that may take place. Okay, next one. Types of pavement or drainage system. Mainly we need to concentrate on diverting the water from two levels. So one is at the surface level and second one is below surface level. So that is also called as subsurface level. Okay, so basically there are two types of drainage systems. One is surface drainage system and another one is subsurface drainage system. Let's see, so what is surface drainage system? Removal and diversion of surface water from the roadway and the adjoining land is called as surface drainage system. Okay, in surface drainage system, different components are provided like cross slope or camber, side drain, and cross drain as well. That is also called as culverts. So most of the times you might have witnessed this one. So the cross slope or camber. So this is actually provided to drain away the rainwater from the surface of the pavement. Now, suppose the rainwater stays over the pavement for longer period, so that may react with the surface material. So which is the surface material? You know that one, isn't it? The surface material is obviously made up of bitumen. So bitumen is a hydrophobic substance. That means it doesn't like water. So whenever the bond between aggregate and bitumen breaks, it opens a variety of failure modes. There it may stripping of the aggregate takes place. There may be a corrosion or creation of potholes due to traffic, so on. That's why always the surface water should be diverted away from the surface as soon as possible. Okay, now let's see the second type, so that is subsurface drainage system. Removal and diversion of excess soil water from the subgrade is termed as subsurface drainage. Okay, for this subsurface drainage, the main contribution is from groundwater or seepage flow, or maybe because of capillary rise of water. In this type, most of the times the damage is happened to the soil, so not the surface material. So that's why this water needs to be diverted or lowered below the subgrade level. That how we can see, how we can do. Let's see. So problems to pavement due to improper highway drainage. Well, the problems are listed down. We'll discuss one by one. The first one is lowering of stability. Okay, if the moisture content in the subgrade increases, then the pavement is likely to fail due to subgrade failure. That means maybe settlement at the level of subgrade take place. So that will reflect at the surface level after some time. So whenever there is a heavy moving traffic load. Okay. The second one is reduction in strength. Again, if there is more moisture present, that will reduce the strength of material, because sometimes moisture leads to change in property of materials. It may be soil or aggregate. Because of weathering, it will lose its strength. The next one, variety in volume in case of clay soil. As you know, clay soils are always susceptible to variation in moisture content. That means, so when you add water, it will swell, and when you remove water, it will shrink. Because of this property of clay soil, it is always good to divert away the water from it. Next one, stripping of bitumen resulting in potholes. My dear students, as I told you earlier, bitumen doesn't like water. So whenever water enters into the bitumen, it will strip away the aggregates, so that will result in potholes, which is one type of pavement failure. Next, mud pumping. So this is one type of pavement or failure, so which mostly takes place in rigid pavement. So in rigid pavement, so joints are provided in between two slabs. Rigid pavement is nothing but cement concrete pavement. Okay, if these joints are not properly sealed, then the presence of moisture in the subgrade soil may try to pump up the mud above the surface. You know what is mud, isn't it? So it is the presence of excess water in the soil, so that will create mud. Next one, in case of shoulder, a reduction in strength. So same way as we discussed earlier, so how drainage reduces strength. Next one is frost action in case of low temperature. So in places where freezing temperatures are common in winter, so in India, somewhere around Kashmir, Ladakh or Himalayan region, you can just consider, okay, you can assume this scenario. So what happens in this case is, suppose water is present in the subgrade already and it's also getting a continuous supply of water from groundwater. So okay, during winter, what happens? This entire water gets frozen and tries to push the pavement above. So what it will do? It will do upheave of the pavement. So that is one type of a failure. So next and last one is the damage to embankment slope. So the damage, in the sense, it will erode the soil from the unsurfaced road. That means whatever the unmetalled road is there, so that will erode. And embankment slope will also sometimes wash away. So these are the various problems associated with the improper highway drainage system, or you can consider it as the significance of highway drainage. The next one. Now let's see the requirement of good drainage. Well, the first requirement is camber. The rate of provision of camber depends upon the rainfall at the site or location. The surface water from the carriageway and the shoulder should be drained up completely without allowing the water to percolate to the subgrade. So that means water should quickly flow into the roadside drain. The second requirement is gradient. Here, gradient refers to the longitudinal gradient of the side drain. That means whatever the side drains are provided, its longitudinal gradient. Along the line, the small amount of gradient is provided. The gradient is provided to drain off the water with gravitational force. If side drain is having proper gradient, then no stagnation of water will take place in it. So water always flows and collects to the end stream. Next one is cross drainage work, also known as culvert or small bridge. My dear students, if you have observed it anytime or not, I don't know. So to connect the roadside drain water to the nearest stream or water body, this structure is provided. So this makes sure that if water is more also, that will not be flooded at the surface level or overflow above the pavement. Next one is the side drain. Nowadays most of the roads are provided with good side drain. So this side drain is constructed by considering the rainfall at the location. That means the side drain should have sufficient capacity, so its size should be sufficient to carry the entire water, so which is coming in the region. The next requirement is groundwater table. So at some places this water level may be exactly at the ground level. So in such condition, it is very difficult to construct and maintain the road. Sometimes seepage may also take place in such cases. So that's why the minimum requirement is that groundwater table should be 1.2 meter below the ground level. So whatever surface is there, so from that, or the subgrade level, so it should be 1.2 meter below. So if groundwater table is very near to the ground level, then the pavement can be constructed over an embankment. Okay. Next one is highest flood level. So constructed highway must be at least 0.6 meter above the highest flood level, or otherwise there will always be a chance of road flooding during monsoon. So this consideration applies normally for waterlogged areas. Okay, now let's talk about about the first type of drainage system, so which is surface drainage system. My dear students, just look at the figure. So this is the consequence of improper drainage facility. So when side drains or surface drains doesn't have enough capacity to drain off the rainwater, so this is likely to happen. So you guys might have experienced such realistic example, isn't it? So just remember Bhatkal Shamsuddin circle during monsoon. So that turns out to be quite similar to the figure 3. So what is the reason for that? The main reason is improper maintenance of drains. Methods of surface drainage. So the figure in here shows the longitudinal side drain over an embankment. Only half of the section is shown here. So top width of the highway embankment is known as formation width. A right of way is nothing but the area of land acquired along the alignment. Okay. This figure shows the longitudinal side drain for the road in cutting. So here spoil banks are provided at the end to prevent the erosion of the soil. Okay, this is in cut section. Well, in urban areas it is very difficult to provide open drains because the space availability is very limited. So whatever the land is available, it should be utilized effectively. So in this type, you can see the catch basin type to collect the rainwater, and it will have connections to the end sewer line. So here perforated cover is provided at the surface of the catch basin, so soon after the edge of the road, and also other end is followed with the footpath. The water will be collected within the catch basin and the impurities will settle down. Here, yeah. One more type which can be provided at urban area is by means of vertical inlet. So whenever the space availability is very limited, so there this type can be adopted. Here this is provided right underneath the pedestrian footpath. So here the curb is provided with opening so that water gets collected in the concrete box through this opening, and then it is diverted to stormwater sewer. Now subsurface drainage. Okay, what is this subsurface drainage? The removal or diversion of excess soil water from the subgrade is called as subsurface drainage. So this refers to the water which is present beneath the surface or ground. So normally this water affects or damages the subgrade soil. Okay, so let's see the locations which require this facility. The first one is road in cutting. Another one is water flowing from hill at hill station or hill region. Next, last one is water rising through capillary action. So let's discuss about all these things further. Subsurface drainage system methods. The first method is lowering of groundwater table. Suppose there is a presence of gravel or sandy soil, that is the soil is relatively permeable. By means of construction of longitudinal drainage trench with the drain pipes and filter sand, the water table can be lowered. The trench depth depends upon the water table level. At what depth it is existing, the distance between them, and also the type of soil. So what type of soil is present. The next one, suppose if the soil is of impervious nature, so that means if it is of clayey soil and silty soil, then along with longitudinal drainage trench, an additional transverse drains may also be provided. So in the previous case, only the longitudinal drains were provided because it was permeable. So in this case it is impermeable. Here another extra additional transverse drains are provided. So this is provided in order to drain off the water effectively and to lower the groundwater up to the level of transverse drain. That means at what level you are providing transverse drain, up to that level the water table will get lowered. So by looking at the figure, how these transverse drains are provided, you can see. So these are in a staggered manner with a spacing of 6 to 20 meters center to center, and these drains are connected to the longitudinal drain. Longitudinal drain trenches are sealed properly with impermeable material so that no surface water enters through it. Yes, now second method is control of seepage flow. Suppose If there is a presence of any impervious strata, then the groundwater may store in between that strata as well as sloping ground. That means that whatever the space is available, so there the water will store, because it cannot penetrate through that impervious strata. So if the depth of this seepage zone is less than 0.6 meter and 0.9 meter from the subgrade level, longitudinal drain pipes in trench filled with filter material and clay seal can be provided to interrupt the seepage flow. Next, third method of subsurface drainage is controlling the capillary water. There are two methods to control capillary water. So here we are restricting the capillary rise instead of lowering the water table. So in previous methods we just lowered the water table. Here we cannot do that one. So we can only restrict the capillary rise. Here in this figure you can see a layer of granular material of suitable thickness is provided during the construction of embankment between subgrade and the highest level of groundwater. This provision of thickness of layer depends upon the capillary rise of water. Okay, so here we are just restricting the capillary rise. So one more method to control the capillary water is by providing the impermeable capillary cutoff layer. Okay, so in this method what we are doing is, instead of providing granular layer, a bituminous layer is provided. So what it will do? It will seal the intrusion of water into the layer. That means complete seal, complete resistance. Next one. Okay. Well, now let's discuss about the design part. So what are the design consideration we are going to adopt while taking into account of both surface and subsurface drainage systems? So first let's see the design of surface drainage system. So this design is divided into two phases. So first phase is like a hydrologic design, and second one is hydraulic design. So hydrologic design means what? The analysis is used to estimate the maximum quantity of water expected to reach the element of drainage system. It means the total rainwater which is collected by means of surface flow as well as adjoining land is considered here. So second one is hydraulic design. So in this analysis, sectional details of the drains as well as longitudinal slopes are determined. The concept is based on the principle of flow through open channels. So you will have studied this in fluid mechanics. Same thing we are going to adopt here. Okay. In hydrologic design, so we are going to determine the quantity of water which is likely to be present at the location. So this quantity of water can be calculated by using the equation Q is equal to CIAD. So here C is nothing but runoff coefficient. Is a coefficient which depends upon the area, and I is intensity of rainfall in mm per second, and AD is a drainage area in 1000 square meters. In second phase of determining hydraulic design, so we are going to consider basic fluid mechanic equation. So that is to find out discharge. So the discharge Q is equal to A into V. So by using this equation, by knowing the velocity of flow, we can get the total cross-sectional area of the side drain. So then by considering any sectional details like size, maybe trapezoidal, rectangle, so we are going to decide so what is the depth and what is the base width, all those things, so we are going to design. So Manning's equation is used to find out the longitudinal slope value of the side drain. So that is V is equal to 1 by N R to the power of 2 by 3 and S to the power of 1 by 2. Here N is Manning's roughness coefficient and V is the average velocity in meter per second, and R is hydraulic radius, which can be calculated by using the equation A divided by P. Here A is nothing but area of drain and P is wetted perimeter. With this S, which is longitudinal slope of channel, can be found out. Okay, now the design of subsurface drainage system. So here the design of filter material is done. The material should have adequate permeability and can resist the flow of fine materials. Two criteria are considered while designing the filter material. First one is permeability criteria and the second one is piping criteria. So what is this permeability criteria? The filter material should offer negligible resistance to the flow of water. That means it should be good permeable in nature. Second one is like piping criteria. It should not allow the fine particles to flow away with the flowing or percolated water. That means filter material should resist the fine materials within the media itself. So that is piping criteria. Okay, let's see. So what are the steps to design the filter materials? The first step is to do the sieve analysis of the subgrade soil, and after that one we are going to design the grain size and distribution curve for the same. Second step is to find out D15 size material of filter particles. So it can be calculated by considering the ratio of D15 of filter to the D15 of foundation soil should be greater than 5. Okay, by using this equation we are going to find out D15 of filter material. So foundation soil is nothing but subgrade soil. So D15 you can find out by referring the graph later. So third step is to find out again D15 size of material of filter. So this is to find out the zone of material, okay, and to prevent the piping action. So this can be calculated by using this D15 of filter divided by D85 of foundation soil, which is nothing but subgrade soil, should be less than 5. Okay, by using this equation again we are going to find out the second limit of D15 of filter material. Okay, in the end you are going to get this kind of graph. Here this hatched zone you are seeing, no, this hatched zone is the filter material size. That means, so when you are considering the filter material, its size should be within this zone. Okay, that is the remote design part of this subsurface drainage. Right, so that's it from highway drainage part. Thank you, my dear students.